All right, hello everyone. It's Mystic Juicer back with some more Yomi action at long last. I know it's been quite a while. Work has been very bad, and I was also sick for a very, very long time. Probably about 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks all told, just off and on, getting hit by flu season, cold season. So, anyway, in any case, we're back at it again, and I'm bringing you some 19XX action. This is the first round of 19XX. This is me versus Three-Headed Monkey. We've clashed a couple of times before. I can't remember exactly how this set goes. It's been a very long time. But yeah, it should be interesting to see. So I can't speak to my reasoning for picking Argagarg. Argagarg typically does very well against Lum and Onimaru. I think maybe Three-Headed Monkey is an Onimaru player. Or maybe there was Onimaru Grave in the mix. I think Argagarg does very well against Grave, and I was interested in trying that out. It's not a matchup I've played a ton of in the past. So just see how we're going. So we start with an ace in hand, which is always nice. We can power up our 2s and our 5s if we need to fetch aces more in the future. And just starting off with a very conservative play. So I'm blocking with a non-ace card just to potentially set the stage for, not having it in my opening hand. That does give me a little bit of information about Three-Headed Monkey, which, or the way he's going to want to kind of play this match. Opening up with a block is very, very safe against Argagarg. It's going to protect you against everything except his throws. His throws are okay, but they don't deal a tremendous amount of damage. They're going to protect you. They're going to option select a poke, which is, trying to poke out a throw that you are playing to try to throw the bubble shield, and also it hedges against bubble shield. So one of the things that Argagarg players, and one of the things I'm going to try to do in in this matchup, is take advantage of moments of uncertainty on the part of my opponent. So when there are, like, immediately after a power up, or in a situation where an ace seems very likely, going in with a throw can often be quite effective, because your opponent is trying to play a more conservative, kind of indecisive, safe play. Now that's often going to be a block or dodge. So far we're working on a nice little bit of a life lead. We haven't gone block too often, just twice so far. We do want to avoid Grave getting to a point where he can just T-Pos willy-nilly. We do want to diffuse the threat of T-Pos by playing our aces often, and then when we have jokers, we can play Blowfish Spikes, as that's going to outspeed T-Pos and make us completely safe with the joker backup. So far we're doing quite well. All right, there we go. Very, very nice combat win for us there. We get a block off. We get an additional card. We set up our advantage time, so we have completely free reign here to do anything that we want. We can turtle up really hard and force our opponent to go for throws if he wants to break the lock, potentially spending a lot of valuable attack cards into our blocks. Or we can be very aggressive, because no matter what we get hit with, we're not going to take any damage, so that is perfectly fine. Getting thrown with the 7 here, the 7, which is not bad, right? We only got 1 turn of advantage time. However, we did force a 7 to be played as a throw, and also force the 7 to be played as a throw in a situation where we don't take any damage. We're still at full health. It is very early game yet. His hand is a reasonable size. It's a pretty good Grave Pretty good hand size for Grave, 10 cards. So with the Joker in hand, I can be completely safe to cross-up attempts into potential silent True Power of Storms, so just going to go ahead and do that. The dodge does make me think that he potentially has True Power of Storms already, because otherwise, why would you really want to be dodging there? It could also be an indication that he just doesn't have any strong combos off of the 2, or he doesn't have a queen that he would ordinarily have played in that situation. Essentially, like, is he dodging because he wants to play around a wake-up queen on my part, or not? Okay, we get undercut with the kings. We're going to take some damage here. No reason to spend the jokers. Our jokers are completely earmarked for dealing with True Power of Storms. No reason for us to spend them before then. So he does get some good damage there. 25. Very, very quickly evening up the life totals. He does spend a lot of cards, putting himself at 7 cards again. So he's back in a stage of the game where he is wanting to build and just going to try to not take too much damage and not play into too many aces in the meantime. So 60 hit points to 50. This is one of those instances where we can potentially crawl back into our shell and try to make this stage of the game last as long as possible as we get resources. He doesn't have a hand size where he can really pressure us. The fact that he attacked with the double king combo also makes me less worried about True Power of Storms, because I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, that's probably, like, why would you play the king there if you had the 2, if you had True Power of Storms? Probably want to combo with the 2 and try to hit with T-Pos, right? Or bait a Joker or something. Whereas you can't combo into True Power of Storms off the king. Probably means it's not on the table. So here we do give him some cards. We give him an opportunity to play knowing the opponent games. We do get a second Joker off the normal draw. That's going to be very, very nice for us. And we have a pretty safe play here in our 2 attack. Because if he does play it honestly, if he plays either side of the 2, our 2 attack with Joker backup beats both sides of that. So instead I'm going to go for the throw, trying to catch a cheeky 2 dodge. And the reason I'm going for the throw there is, again, if he plays it, it essentially is only beat by raw True Power of Storms, which is very, very unlikely. If he hits me with the 2, the worst thing that happens is he combos into a bunch of, like, if he combos into a straight and gets a bunch of aces, that makes, throw into ace much more online. That becomes a scary situation. But given that I don't believe in True Power of Storms being real, I can be a little bit more frisky in that instance. Okay, we get 7 thrown again. Nice using the 7 after throwing with the 10. People start throwing with 10s, you definitely start thinking, oh, okay, no good throws, I can probably turtle up. So again, we're in a cross-up situation. We can just wake up with queen, but we can also just sit here and play incredibly, incredibly safe. Okay. We got some more cards. We take 2 damage and deal 2 damage. Thinking about powering up the 9s, but they are my only throws in hand, and That might be a reason to keep them. Otherwise, I might just be thinking, well, there's no real reason to step on the gas here. Single ace is just as much a threat as anything else. I don't really need the threat of Bubble Shield to make him turtle up. I feel more comfortable him being aggressive into my plays, rather than me having to be aggressive into his plays. Yeah, hence the powering up the dodges rather than powering up the throws. Keeps the throws online and still gets me the Bubble Shield. So now we do have to play around potential True Power of Storms. So our own double ace attack beats his triple ace super. It doesn't end the game, but it does prevent us from dying. We have already played a Joker fairly recently, so if he successfully dodges our Blowfish Spikes, it's very likely we'll be able to get the successful Gold Burst. So all of those things kind of make me think, yeah, why not just go for the Blowfish Spikes? And that blows up quite badly in my face. We deal some chip damage, but we don't have the means of getting Blowfish Spikes back online. So instead, we'll do the best we can, just get a single ace. With him having diffused Blowfish Spikes, I no longer really care about the throws, at least throwing with 9s. I want to throw with something at least as fast as an 8. Because with him having the dominant speed super, it is far more likely that he is going to want to be active and push buttons. Yeah, so we don't really want to be throwing and get caught with counter throw 9. Okay, so he elects not to take the damage there because it does give him a pretty mean setup on this next turn. He can either raw True Power of Storms. Well, the mix-up starts with I can cross up normal you here. I can play. If you're going to be blocking, you have a 50-50 shot of getting hit by True Power of Storms anyway. And then if you push some very good ARG buttons like 2, Jack, or Queen, all of which we happen to have in our hand, I can just raw 2 Power of Storms you, and if you push the button, then you die. So, have fun with that. So we got our ace block. We've been mashing ace as much as possible. So block even to come out of that. But again, very, very safe play, right? No matter which block I ended up playing, there was no way I was going to get hit by True Power of Storms there. Now we have silent Blowfish Spikes with at least one ace in the discard. And again, still have that Joker backup. So if he does dodge, and unfortunately we get undercut by the Queen, perhaps smelling the Blowfish Spikes coming. And we're just going to be massive jerks and just grab our ace again and just continue to play the Arg mix-up. So the throw here is a little bold. We do get counter thrown, as he is correctly picking up on the fact that I am very, very willing to play single ace, even if it is known. We perhaps avoid a little bit of damage here. Now that we're at what, 34 on the last turn. Throwing into ace and then throwing into ace is just as effective as hitting us with True Power of Storms. So I do want to make him think a little bit about that, about whether he wants to commit damage or just play very, very conservative and very low on value. And here I'm just checking to see what normals he's played and what blocks I have in my discard, just to see if there is what is the most likely play that he's going to go for. Okay, so we successfully block our way out of a dodge, and our inevitability is just chipping slowly away at the remainder of his hit points. At any moment, we could be exploderated by True Power of Storms. He has been going for a lot of throws once we stand up. And finally, we catch one of those dodges. At this point, we can commit or not, choose not to, just because we still wouldn't have had lethal on that turn. Would have set him to exactly 2. So maybe that is actually the incorrect call. But again, this deep into the deck, we're essentially halfway through. It's very, very likely that he has the Joker. So I don't really feel like giving him extra cards if I don't have to. Yeah, and the very gutsy wake up throw, which kudos. So we're just going to bluff again, see if we can get away with it. Goes in for max damage, setting us to 6 HPs. A power up for more aces. And set up a nice turn here. So we do have 10 throw if we expect a dodge, and exactly a dodge. He has several 3s, so he has all 4 3s and a 2 left, so 5 dodges left in the deck. Hand of 9 cards. Fairly likely that he has a dodge. So take the risk and manage to sink it with the mighty, mighty 10 throw, the 10est of throws. And definitely count myself lucky for having taken that very, very close game. Grave shrinks and hovers. And we'll see what THM switches to here. So that last throw was definitely a bet on him, I guess, not having a queen. If he had the queen, being unwilling to play it, because, you know, why don't I just show you the double ace? You know, it's known double ace super, it's known blowfish spikes. What are the odds that I'm going to play it honestly, and what are the odds that I'm going to block with it? The throw is a much more outside possibility. It's and so there's that moment of confusion that I was talking about at the beginning of the recording that you can take advantage of. Definitely something that gives Argagarg a lot of room to maneuver, that it doesn't feel like he earns. Like, he doesn't earn by having particularly scary or like high damage combat outcomes. It's just that he has very stifling speeds on blowfish spikes in particular, and against Grave in particular. But also that feel bad advantage time moment in a late game scenario can really, really heavily discourage opponents from attacking. So ordinarily, you would probably see, as a counterpick to Argagarg, you'd probably see either Gloria or Trock. Trock, of course, is banned in this format, so that is not a possibility. So Trock, Zane, DeGray, and Geiger are all banned in 19XX, as they are fairly consensus top tiers, and also, more importantly, very popular characters in most of the standard format tournaments. So 19XX is kind of an effort to get a bigger mix of different matchups. And three-headed monkey going for Vendetta. Not a matchup that I am at all experienced with. So I know generally how I want to play against Vendetta. I have some ideas of what correct play against Vendetta looks like. So that's all I'm banking on here. I'm going to be learning this matchup on the fly, based on what I've seen of how Three-Headed Monkey plays or played the Grave versus Arg matchup, and we'll see how far we get. So we have Bubble Shield early, which is very nice. We can now try to punish throws. Last time he went for an immediate throw, so I'm going to just stick out a slow attack and see what we can get. And happily, we find ourselves a nice little throw there and punish it to its maximum amount. See if we can fish some jokers out. He just tosses out a 10. And we deal 10 damage with a single king. So not bad at all. So now we've established like, yes. So the only other time you have that I have set Bubble Shield up, you immediately went for the throw. I'm going to go ahead and show you that I'm not just going to block and see what I can accomplish here. Okay, and he switches and goes, okay, well, if you're not going to block, then I'm going to play the 2 that you know I have and just pop the Bubble Shield. So we lose a 7 there, which is not great, but is not terrible either. Vendetta has 75 hit points, so unless he makes stuff happen in this match, a lot of his health percentage-wise is just going to tick away to Hex of Mirkwood. Or Mirkwood Hex. I have no... Yeah, Hex of Mirkwood. Got it. Nailed it. It's almost like we play this game to some good degree. Okay, so given that he just tossed out a card last time, I don't want to, King is a very good starter. So if you're bluffing there, you probably just don't have the Joker. He has a fairly high hand anyway, so I don't. He can afford to toss cards, therefore he's more likely to toss cards. And the other thing is, Argagard just doesn't really care about having a huge hand size. He can play his game plan of, do I have an ace or don't I? And am I gonna play it or am I gonna poke your throw? Pretty much at any hand size. So definitely a character that can reward good reads very effectively, and a character that is also incredibly defensive. Any character that has an ability that is activated through blocking or dodging, so Argagarg, De Grey, they are very tough characters to deal with psychologically, because blocking and dodging is already so very safe that having a character that gets even more mileage out of blocking or dodging than the rest of the cast, which usually gets fairly good mileage out of it, is really hard to deal with. It takes real courage to fight Argagarg. So big combo out of Three-Headed Monkey here, putting me down to 48. So again, evening out that life total. Not spending a ton of cards either. That Vendetta innate of getting his combat reveal normals back, keeping that hand size high, and making that very efficient damage. So that 2.2 speed normal on his 2 is going to shut down a lot of my plays. So Queen is a very nice trade against it, especially given our relative life differentials. So this is actually definitely a combat loss on his part. Taking 11 and dealing 4, especially at the actual life totals that we're at, where I've got the life lead. Difficult for him to deal with. Okay, we have a hand that can't really do much, so we're just going to turtle up and block. And luckily we are rewarded for our defensive play. So just avoid taking a combat loss and therefore increment the tick damage against Vendetta. So I can't really speak to the overall strategy in this matchup. I do know that, so like most characters, Argagarg's Ace Super is going to outspeed everything that Vendetta can do, because Vendetta is generally quite slow. He has turns where he has particular combat reveals where he is quite speedy, but overall not the fastest character in the Yomi cast. So he does take the knockdown there. He's going to take this opportunity to power up. We are likely going to power up with our 10s just to put 18 damage super at 0.2 speed in his mind. The difficulty though is that if we do that and then power and then play it, and we've powered up with all of our 10s, he can just use acrobatics to get out of the situation entirely. Ooh, getting the second Joker is quite nice here. I checked his discard just to see how many aces are potentially online. He did hit with 2 of them. He powered back up 1, so I'm thinking he's probably going to aim to combo into them rather than play Maximum Van. Maximum Van is actually something that I'm going to be a little bit worried about here. Yeah, so just play the Joker. Or it would be something that I would be worried about in this particular scenario. So he can get some mileage off of playing a similar mix-up to Grave, which is I'm going to cross you up, right? If you're looking to just play defensive and conservative, or if you try to outpoke me or play a desperation, please don't hit me with some combo into Maximum Ven, or I can't remember what his 2 supers are called. But if you try to combo into your 2 ace super finisher, then I can just hit you with a poke. Therefore, does that outspeed the counter poke or hit you with a cross up mix up, and playing the gold burst there, unless he was looking to dodge. But again, Argagarg doesn't really have a lot of good wake up options, especially not without kind of a known ace already online. So fairly low odds that I was going to wake up with some pokes. So again, we bait the Joker. We're playing relatively safe. We still have Blowfish Spikes online. We have 2 counters, so just playing the Blowfish Spikes here is pretty scary. Got a nice life lead, so we're just trying not to lose this match. He knows we have Blowfish Spikes. But he might be thinking, oh, well, you're just going to take advantage of that to cross me up or to throw me. Fortunately, he does the safe stuff, just goes for block. Could be an indication that he does have another Joker. Because again, just blocking on cross-up turns when you have Joker is a very, very safe play. Okay, fetches another ace. So now I'm definitely thinking triple ace super, 1.0 speed. 36 damage, doesn't quite kill us. If we hit with either of Queen or Jack, we win. If we successfully block, we probably also win. And narrowly outspeed the 4th row. We've got 2 10s to be able to counter anything he does. We can play incredibly safe here, or we can just try to go for lethal with the 7, or with the Jack. Okay. We get bluffed, but he is in a really rough situation here. He has to deal 37 damage or knock us down. So he can't deal 37 damage except with a throw, and he can't knock us down except with a throw. So we actually have, yeah, either the queen is perfectly safe here, even though Gold Burst also is completely safe. But just in case he had like 3 acros, play the queen anyway. Okay, so 2 games down. Much more tense game 2 than the life totals may have indicated there. Okay, not a very aggressive hand, although we do have 3, 4, 5. So if we will him to throw us, we can get another ace and deal 14 damage. Or we can just turtle up, see what he's willing to play. So early in the first game, lots of 2 pokes, not a lot of blocking on his part. Built his hand mostly by going in with the 2s. We now have 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is very tempting to play. The early block does, again, signal, hey, I don't have a 2. Otherwise I would have played a 2 because its 2 is so good. Could also just be a signal of uncertainty. Hey, I'm not sure if you're going to play an ace. I played a lot of 2s last turn. You didn't really, respect that. Are you going to respect it this time? Oh, that's right. Yeah, no. Argarg only has what? He only has 3 combo points? Yeah, he does. So, hey, don't worry. I played this character. It's cool. It's totally cool. Just don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. So 4, 5, 6, a very rude combo, very good damage. Card neutral, gets us the aces. We can just go for Blowfish Spikes here. We have a 10 to counter anything. Yeah, and we'll just play the obvious ace. So again, now that he has caught on to the fact that we've been exploiting that uncertainty by going in with throws after fetching aces. Obviously, what we need to do is shift our range so that we are being massive tools and just playing the aces as we get them. So if he has a 2, I think it's very likely, with hindsight, very likely that the 2 comes out here. So I think turtling is actually just fine, probably. The 2 is being played. I'm not sure why. Oh, he showed us he had a 3. So the 2 is being played because the 2 beats the 3. Maybe you don't have the 2 and you'll just play the 3. Instead, he dodges our gimmickry. If he's got a king, he's going to play it here. Yeah, there we go. We're just going to counter its ability to return to his hand. Therefore, we won't have to deal with the king mix-up on the next turn. So denying a king seems pretty good to me. The more we can prevent his vortex, the happier we're feeling. So again, we know he has a 3. Don't know if he has a 2. Ven, like many characters in Yomi, does not have a 4 attack. So if he's going to combo into something... Oh, yeah. My player cam was just like celebrating really hard. Not getting hit with 1.0 speed, completely hidden king there. This is a massive combat win. Denying a second king, putting him back into the advantaged state for Argagarg. Definitely very good. And we still have 2, 3, 4. If we feel the desire to play it, which is now essentially 2, 3, 4 into another free 4. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, very rude combat win. He is way down on life. We normal draw Joker. Yeah, no reason to press any advantage here. We can just try to bleed as much value out of him as possible. And that's one of the things. There's like this saying in StarCraft, right? If you're ahead, get more ahead. In Yomi, that's not as much the case. You do want to, if you're in an advantaged spot, you do want to push the game to the end game. But it's also very important to not rush that process. If you start putting on the gas, if you are ahead and really just like you play all your aggressive options, right? We go for that 2, 3, 4. We go for all of our combos. What we are doing is we're spending all of our kind of resources, and potentially if something's blue bursted, if reversals are in our opponent's hand, we're allowing them to play in such a way that they can take advantage of our rush to move the game to its conclusion. So we're not going to be entirely turtling back up, but we are going to take some time to, we're not in a place where we have to make plays happen. Playing Argagarg, we're in our advantage state. We have the life lead. We've got tons of cards in our hand. We have all of the options that we would want to, so we can be really deliberate and allow our Hex to do a lot of heavy lifting. Because until our opponent wins combat, we are automatically going to win the game. Okay, so we get undercut here. Finally get taken to the mat with the 7th throw. And now the name of the game is just not to lose from this position. We have, wake up super. We can be incredibly conservative here, or we can be incredibly ignorant, and we are choosing to go with ignorance. Of course, ignorance, always rewarded. Yeah, no, I mean at this point it's just this is a high risk play, but it's in a situation where it's actually very low risk for us to do this. There are very, very few things that our opponent can play in response to our 7 that we even care about. Like, unless he throws us with another 7, or he throws us with a king, or he hits us with a king attack into a 7, we are still pushing him to the end game faster than his combo is pushing us. Okay, get our spacing queen dodged. Throwing us with the acrobatics. Definitely indicating, a very rough situation for our opponent. Low on throws is what that indicates. No 9s, no kings. Would you prefer to throw with the 8 over the 7? Probably in this scenario. So possibility that the 7s are still in play. But definitely no kings, definitely no 9s. So We don't need to worry about throws here. We can sit back and let our hex do the talking. And again, with 2 jokers already in hand, blocking is super, super, super safe. Everything about this this game state right now says that we can probably just sit back and block for the rest of the game with fairly little risk of losing. So we're just going to stick to the game plan, play very, very safe on cross-up turns, and then just stick out a queen every once in a while. So we get hit with 36 damage, which deals a little bit less than half of our remaining hit points. But also, we, by getting hit by that, deal a little bit less than half of his remaining hit points. So, a perfectly fine trade. It's just so gross. So now we don't want to get hit with like a big attack starter. But since all big attack starters lose to our queen, we can just play queen. And there we go. So he's got acrobatics, and he's got to have 2 of them. And there it is. Game 3 done. And that was mostly just a lot of combat wins in a row. Like, you can't... that just happens sometime. It's not a... losing a ton of comments in a row and losing a game is something that happens to anybody, is basically what I'm trying to say. There's no like secret to not having that happen. Okay, we undercut a jack. Makes us feel nice. Getting rid of jacks is good. We can play 2 to clash with jack if he has another one. Early jacks are fairly likely. We can also throw into another potential jack. Instead, we throw into a 2. Probably going to get opened up with what is it called? Oh, okay. Yeah. A chain. God, what is it called? Like a 2, 3, 4, 5 something. I swear to God, it's been way too long since I have commentated this game. I am so sorry. That is coming to an end though. This next week is my last week of work before before 3 weeks of vacation for the winter holidays. So yeah, I'm going to be diligently clearing through my backlog, and I'm going to be able to catch some games live as they happen, so I'm not just going to be commentating my own games, which I'm very excited about. Don't mind commentating my own games. Love commentating live Yomi between 2 opponents where I can't see their hands. Much more fun, much more engaging in terms of valuation and stuff like that. So we tossed a 10. Blocking with a 10 probably indicates no 9s. Possibly no 5s or 6s. Right now we're in a game state where we're both very low on hand, very even in life, and generally that's going to favor us in this scenario. Grave wants to have a large hand so he can continuously power up for aces. Yeah, defanging jacks. Defanging jacks is nice. Obviously, yeah, not taking a whole bunch of chip damage to jack before you get rid of it is definitely sweet. In this scenario, I don't know if having jacks in Grave's hand is actually good for Grave, because again, ace block is definitely a thing that Argagarg likes to do. So Yeah, he's being very, very aggressive with attacks here, changing up his speed a little bit. I think throughout the Vendetta games, he realized that I was not really playing many single ace blocks at all. Partially, it's a matchup thing. Vendetta's throws are just better than Graves. I think generally, yeah, I would say that. He can lead up into much more damage than Grave can off of a throw. So I'm just going to be poking a little bit more against Vendetta than I am against a Grave player. And he is definitely punishing me for engaging in that nonsense behavior. So taking a nice bit of life lead here, setting me on the back foot. But I will not be deterred from being a complete goobus. I will duff your throw. You just have to play it. So up 3 games against 3-headed monkey in a first to 4, or against any opponent in a first to 4, you can afford to play a little differently, to try some riskier moves. So long as they still lead to good payoff. Having 5-6 king pump is pretty good. Having 5 into ace-ace is very nice. All of that would equalize the life total and not leave me in a significantly bad spot. And there it is. The honest 7th throw, finally catching me. I knew you. Yeah, so he gets to knock me down. He gets a queen. From his discard, no less. He's got a life lead. Things are generally looking very good for 3-headed monkey here. And even though I passed the power up, now that he's powered up for 2 aces in this spot, with no jokers online, I'm probably going to be pushed to power up the kings. No, okay. All right. So here we just don't want to get hit with true power storms. Either raw or cross up. We've got to think about which way it's going to be. He has not so far played true power storms raw. So just going to bank on that continuing to be the case and hope that he hits me with a belligerent odd attack. So happily, that does in fact happen. We do punish him to the maximum amount possible. And we have an opportunity here to sit back, allow our hand to accumulate some pairs and some throws, and just generally, and some jokers. If we can find some jokers before True Power of Storm, or before this bubble shield ends, we're going to be in a very nice spot. There's the queen. 3-headed monkey now hitting me with some of my own medicine, just saying, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to play the obvious move. You keep playing against me being clever. I'm just going to hit you with the obvious thing. I have a queen. I will play a queen here. So we end up coming out of that bubble shield very rapidly, and yeah, that's a bit of a nightmare. Very rapidly and with a fairly fudgy hand. The things that count towards this hand are that we have one of each of the things that you want as an ARG player. We have a bubble shield, we have a 7th throw, and we have a 2.2 speed attack that deals 11. So that's great, but if we lose combat with one of those options, our hand is going to be much more constrained. We mostly just don't want to end up on our backs at the end of this turn. We don't want him to dodge into a throw or to throw us. So that may push me to 7th throw here. But again, I don't have a joker. Okay, yeah, there we go. So he went for the dodge into throw or dodge into True Power of Storms. So instead, we're going to pile on the damage. So why did we pile on the damage there rather than just take the knockdown and kind of conserve our hand? I'm not exactly sure. I think I want to put a little bit of pressure on him. I don't like him having the life lead. I want him to have to make panicky decisions, risky decisions. Luckily, we keep drawing sevens, and as we draw and play them, they keep doing work. Now that he's starting to actually put cards down, we're going to hold back and not go in. And now, not having any good throws, it's basically ace or queen. And we get Wake Up Throne again. I love the commitment. I love the commitment on Three-Headed Monkey's part. So many, I think a lot of players in that scenario would have gone for the Wake Up True Power of Storms. Just like you are being so aggressive right now. 2 7 throws in a row. I can't believe that you wouldn't. Like you're just expecting me to play lame and play scared for some reason. So kudos to the Wake Up 7 throw. Scary situation. He's got mostly even attacks played. 2 2s are gone. No 4s are played. 1 6 is gone. So it's even block or odd block. Went for the odd block because like the ace is already gone from my hand, so it's probably likely that I'm going to go for even block here. And finally lands cross up True Power of Storms. He had the I think he used Martial Mastery earlier in the match a couple of turns ago to know that I did not have the Joker at that time, and I really didn't. Not a lot of time passed between then and the end of the game. So now we get an opportunity to counterpick Grave. True Power of the Ceramics. And I'm actually completely uncertain as to what I ended up picking here. I think Argagarg is fine. We're now 1-1 against his Grave with Argagarg. We're 2-0 against his Vendetta. I think sticking with Argagarg is very smart here. There's really no reason to panic switch out of it. I do like Midori. The reason for the Midori pick here, I guess, is I'm familiar with playing Trock versus Grave, and I'm familiar with playing Rook versus Grave. So I feel fairly comfortable playing the Grappler against Grave. So why not give this a shot? Low blocks in the opening hand, which is always unfortunate. Don't want to be in a situation where the Grave player goes for a gutsy first turn throw, and then you're on your back and you actually don't have any good cross-up defense, and then you get crossed up into 2 3 4 5, and then he's got 2 aces online. He powers up for the third one, and all of a sudden it's the mid game. So we're going to play a very conservative opening here. Doesn't seem like he has the jacks to be able to pressure. If you have jacks in the opening against Midori, you pretty much just play them unless you want to throw the obvious blocks anyway. So we're just going to sit back, just block with this 3. Now that we have the second 3, I don't really mind getting put on my back here. You can choose to go in for a bit of damage. That starts giving me card advantage, and then we are off to the races. So instead, he just takes the knockdown. This could indicate a cross-up attempt. We have jacks. Jacks are good anti-cross-up tools, so why not just go play one? This is just maximum conservative play here. I do not want to get crossed up, therefore I'm just going to play a jack, and if you block it, it's fine. If you beat it with a king, this is fine too. If he's going to commit cards to this, he is reducing his hand size. It's got to happen. It's going to happen eventually if you're playing as a grappler versus a non-grappler player or a non-grappler character. That is where you go to work. You leverage some of your usually superior hit point total and turn it into card advantage. So, so far, not great. We've taken a whole bunch of damage. We're still even in hand size. Not sure exactly what I played. Okay, 7. Yeah, just sit back and block. Eventually he's going to think we're going to throw him, and he's going to play an attack to prevent that. This is the style of Midori that I most prefer to play, which is to sit back and block until you've got all 4 aces in hand, and then just play vicious 4 ace games. But playing a 1.2 speed, 20 damage attack is also pretty good. They very rarely expect 20 damage. Okay, so now that we have essentially blown our shot, playing double ace fairly reasonably indicates on our hand size that we don't have the queen and we don't have the 10 to spin it. So he should feel relatively comfortable going back to... Oh, yeah, I was not expecting the block there. Perhaps expecting that the signal that I was sending of, hey, no, I definitely don't have any queens, was just a bluff and trying to sneak a queen in. Now that I've powered up for a single ace, he could get a sense that, oh, maybe you have the second ace again. You're going to do that again. Nope, just plays the jack. It's like, oh, okay, maybe you're going in for some sort of throw thing. Well, I'll just jack you. That's fine. So 3 chip. Don't really mind taking 3 chip to go even on cards. We don't get the draw, which is not ideal. But I don't mind paying 3 chip for a basically stalemated combo here. Midori has such explosive burst damage that a little bit of chip here, like, you know, he doesn't have to beat jacks by throwing into them. He can just go over the top with Wrath of Earth or Final Dragon Buster or any of his dragon moves. So I'm expecting a possible queen here to get under Wrath of Earth. If he thinks I'm going to do the obvious thing. Could just go for a block here, is also very good. Yeah, goes for the dodge. Saying, well, okay, maybe I believe you about not having queens. Grave can sometimes dodge dragon form attacks if they are played through Glimpse of the Dragon, so playing the 10, since he can counter that. So from the first game, so again, in most scenarios, I would think, oh, okay, you're dodging, you probably have True Power of Storms online. But I know that given from his first game that he dodged without it, that he may just have, you know, 2 kings or something. Maybe he feels comfortable dodging into single ace, that sort of thing. Maybe he's just looking to dodge and get me to spend a joker because out of fear that he does have True Power of Storms online. Tossing 3 7s, which is nice. That's going to, I mean, it's good and it's bad. He has True Power of Storms online, almost certainly. Any character with a 3 ace super, as soon as they power up once, you have to start respecting the potential for super to be online. It's just that much more likely that they're going to have it than characters with 4 ace supers. And a belligerent 8 attack here, expecting him to go in for throws. See what happens. We still don't have 10s, and we still have 2s. both of which we're going to need to win this game. Get undercut with the 5, which is very rude. We have the 4. Got to spend our bluff here. Hopefully he goes for it. There we go. We don't die. Playing the 8 attack there is very I have a joker. It's like, okay, well, I'm playing the 8 because if you undercut it with a, like, you know, you're going for combo into True Power Storms, therefore it doesn't matter what I play. You know, even though it's completely risky and only beats throws, it's totally fine because you have the joker as backup. Yeah, there we go. He does, in fact, go 5 into True Power Storms. It's just not in the same combat. Alright, so this is not looking great. He doesn't have True Power Storms anymore. That is nice. We do have Glimpse of the Dragon now. That is nice. I would be expecting single ace or queen here, so that's why I'm going to be blocking. And then I just hope I don't get thrown to death. Okay, no, it goes for the chip jack. Makes a lot of sense. Again, very safe. It's kind of the same thing that I was doing to him in that Arg versus Vendetta, the second Arg versus Vendetta match, which is he's very, very far ahead. He just has to not lose. There are very few things that I can do to play around Jack. So I'm not going to spin the queen there. I want to conserve my 10. Spending the 10 does not put me in a situation where I win the game if it lands. So no reason to spin it there. And that is 2 aces back online. Single aces deal 3 chip. So 3 single aces blocked is game over. I also cannot get thrown. So tough spot here. Yeah, dodge the queen. Queen coming out because, hey, I've got aces. I powered up for aces, so I definitely do not have a move faster than aces. Because otherwise, why would I power up for them? So you should definitely play another queen and undercut this. So just throw into king because it's the most amount of damage. And I have the only throw that matters right now, which is Final Dragon Buster. I'm not going to immediately go into dragon form because I do not have lethal off of a successful dragon form play. So I'm dodging with the 10 because you wouldn't dodge with the 10 if you had another dodge. Now we have 4 aces. And now we're going to go for dragon form. Try to close out the game. Hopefully he does not have a 10 or another face card. Unfortunately he does. So that gets tossed. We still have game plan 2, which is we have 2 dodges. And because we dodge with a 10, he shouldn't think that we do. So one option, yeah. So this is going for the 9 dodge because we can dodge into ace-ace. And then on the next turn, we can potentially play the jack, rotate into ace-ace for lethal. Definitely an outside chance that we were going to win that. And 300 Monkey is like, well, I mean, I don't die if I throw here and you do something silly, so I'm just going to throw here. Sticking in the Midori matchup, that definitely went way worse than Arg versus Grave, so not really sure why I'm sticking in the matchup. Definitely trickier to play against Grave with grapplers than it may at first seem. I think it feels like fighting against Grave as grappler kind of has this like this curve, right? So when you first start doing it, it's like, oh my god, this is impossible. True Power of Storms is like just impossible to deal with. It just deals so much damage. It's so efficient. There's no way around it. Like, he's going to get it no matter how oppressive you are to his hand size. And then you just lose. Like, it's half your hit points no matter what grappler you're playing. And then eventually you're like, oh, okay, well, you start getting the sense of the matchup. You start getting a sense like, oh, okay, actually, Grave is pretty vulnerable to throws in the early game. He has very limited tools to kind of manage you just being super aggro with throws. So, things start feeling much more natural and reasonable. And then eventually, you start playing stronger and stronger Graves, and you're like, you're back to the first spot where you're just like, oh man, God, this is so tough. Even if I'm getting all of these free throws in the early game, and this is really, if only I had spun it to the attack side. If only I had 5 attacked in neutral against Grave, who has no reason to reveal 6 attacks against me. Yeah, so this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, 6 into King is like, ordinarily you're like, oh, that is not a great combo. But it's 13 damage, and it's 13 damage for 1 card. And that's very good. Like, Grave can actually just hit you with normal into any of his special moves a couple of times in a row, and that very quickly adds up. So now we have managed to find our way to a relatively good position. We've got a very large hand size. We have a slight life lead that just disappeared. The Grave player is on a very low hand size, so we've put him in the pressure spot. We've got him in the corner, so to speak. But it's often, I don't know, it can depend. I feel like I'm not very good at taking advantage of putting people in the corner, because taking advantage of people in the corner is like being correct on combat reveals, and that's typically not. That's not how I see myself winning the game. It can be more difficult in some ways to predict and or not take advantage of, but it can be more difficult to get certain kinds of combat wins against a low hand opponent. Right now, Three-Headed Monkey is basically saying, do not throw me. Do not throw me. Please, God, do not throw me. Stop throwing me. And I was obliging him by being very aggressive with throws. And then all of a sudden, switching to a single block, getting that block joker, that is a very, very good sign. Now that means, okay, you were playing a bunch of queens. You've run out of queens to play. You've run out of card-efficient ways to handle me throwing you, which he didn't. He actually had another queen, the monster, but nevertheless, that's the signal that it sends. So now that he has spent all of these resources, a 5-card hand, I've got an 11-card hand, I've gone into dragon form. I don't have anything. I mean, I've got a king and a single ace. It's Bupkis. But he doesn't know that. And he has the 4th queen. Like, what the hell? So very luckily, we get to pull a card from discard. Yeah, we're just going to get another king. We don't, at this point, have the resources to be able to power up a ton of stuff into aces. We get another dragon form. So we've got all 4 of our 2s drawn. So now we're just playing blocker king for the next couple of turns. So be correct or take 17 damage. Unfortunately, our opponent is being correct. Okay, does he have the straight? Ah, straight, that's what it was. Yes, okay. I'm remembering terms now. So, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gets to put 2 aces into his hand, so he stays on a 5-card hand, and 2 out of the 5 of those cards at least are aces. So uncomfortable. So now the question is he going to play aces, thinking that we don't have queens, and are going to keep throwing him? Or is he going to throw us because he has the pressure of aces? And given that we just dodged, and he is blocked, he has correctly surmised that we do not have queens. He does have all 4 queens in the discard, which is very handy for us, because it is going to mean that our queens are the dominant speed attack until he has True Power of Storms online, which, granted, he might. He might have that right now, and that would not be cute to die to that. So let's not die to that. We might have died to that. Just saying, might be dead right now. Okay, luckily we do not die. The not playing even a single ace there pretty much says that he does in fact have True Power of Storms. We finally get Gold Burst, which is too bad because he immediately reads our hand, and that was going to be the freest blue burst of all time. Does throw away a throw. So we suspect he has 3 aces and 4 mystery cards, as opposed to 2 aces and 5 mystery cards. It is indeed a hand. So if we do win with Final Dragon Buster, though, it's still only 52 damage if he doesn't have the Joker. If he does have the Joker, it's just 20 damage. He has spent one already, so that is a fairly good indicator that he doesn't have the second Joker. And luckily, he goes for the monster throw, and we punish that as hard as possible. Yeah, there's no reason to hold back here. If he has it, he's in an advantaged state anyway, so we might as well sink it all. And luckily, he does not have what he requires. Picks up the 3rd ace, so in fact did not have True Power of Storms online. And now we still need to win a couple of combats here. Blocking in this situation, over dodging, is potentially good. Actually, no, we don't have any queens, I think, in the discard at all. So maybe just dodging is fine, or is better. Luckily, we just get the successful block off. That also signals that we potentially don't have any dodges. You can go for the completely nuttiest 5 throw into 8 of all time here, and it would have worked. So we're just trying not to die here. We lose Dragon Form. That's okay, we've got 2 backups. If we draw a queen on this turn, or any other future turn, we can immediately attempt to go into Dragon Form. He knows we've got an 8. We only have block or Joker here. And he knows we have the Joker. So we just need to correctly bluff or correctly blue burst on this turn. Okay, there's the cross up. We're not going to take the risk. He doesn't take the risk either. 26 to 14. still have lethal off of... Actually, no. Yeah, we do. We have lethal off of 5 throw into 7. The dragon form here is a complete bluff. It does make our block slightly stronger, so potentially we can block our way into, for instance, a king. Blocking into king is quite good. Okay, getting thrown is not ideal. Okay, throw for 21. Still maintains true power of storms. 6 hit points to 14. This is basically a repeat of game 1. Okay, no dragon form there. Yeah, I'm not sure why no dragon form there exactly. We don't have lethal off of throw into 5. We do have lethal off of dodge into throw though. So gonna go for it. Yeah, the 5 is definitely coming out here. Has the other joker, so he had true power of storms and a joker and a 2 in hand last turn. Now we have a much more risky scenario. Okay, now essentially final combat here. If we lose this, it's over. If we successfully win it, it's over. He has gone for wake up throw a lot in this match, and that makes me very nervous about dodging into king here. But that's where we're going to go for anyway, and we do lose to wake up 10 throw, which I think yeah, I closed out the first game in this set on my side. So very nicely done by THM. A very rude and very excellent comeback. Yeah, so now we've lost 3 Midori games. It's time to reevaluate our life choices. Are we going to switch back to Argarg? Do we stick to Midori? Definitely the second Midori game was much closer than the first one. Still nowhere near as good as the 1-0 score. Oh, okay. All right, switching to Onimaru. I've played more Onimaru versus Grave than I have other matchups versus Grave, just in general. Except Troc versus Grave, obviously. But yeah, this can be a fun matchup. It can also be, it's essentially another grappler versus Grave matchup. The only difference is you get to play a lot of dominant speed attacks as well in the mid to late game. So it can be swingy. It can definitely be swingy. I think still overall the improvement I would take away from this game or this set for myself in the future would be if you're winning with Arg, just keep playing Arg. There's no reason to start changing things up when you don't have to. I think overall I would say I'm much more comfortable with Arg from my position as a commentator now than I was at the beginning of this tournament. So that's probably it. It's like, oh, okay, well, I know I don't feel super comfortable playing grapplers versus certain kind of Graves. But I don't know how much of my success as Argagarg in these matches against Three-Headed Monkey were the result of just kind of beginner's luck / happenstance more than anything else. And again, versus Arg, it was a 50-50 matchup, right? So we have our guard crushes. He's just blocked with a 10. Typically they protect their 10s the turn after they play them. So unfortunately we're going to get hit here. Graves' True Power of Storms can come online much faster in this matchup than Final Authority does. That 2 into nothing is very interesting. Very interesting. I feel like you never do that if you have a king or a queen. So this is a very odd hand that Three-Headed Monkey has. There was no face down, so he definitely doesn't have True Power of Storms. So instead, we're just going to go in and just cash out this this 15 free damage off the ace. Get a bit of a life lead, and then just return to playing Onimaru neutral, which is Giant 10 or block, or dodge into Giant 10. So we have no tools to press the advantage here. It's pretty much just a block or cheeky 4 cross up or something. Three-Headed Monkey has definitely made these scenarios where I've got him knocked down very stressful for me in this set. He has gone for wake-up throws in really critical situations and had them pay off, and that can make you second-guess every one of these interactions. Okay, and there we go. True Power of Storms online. Nerves racked. So I think typically he has gone for dodge or just normal in those scenarios. He has been mixing in some throws. There we go. Deck definitely delivering with a clutch Joker, but then immediate Martial Mastery. Those Martial Mastery timings have been really unfortunate for me. Or maybe they've been fortunate. He's been very respectful of my blue bursts. So potentially what I should be doing is taking a lot more risks in terms of bluffing than I have been going for before. So we've got a lot of big normals and some 7s. He did just show us a 10. So what do we do? Okay, get around this 4. Threaten to dodge into 20. Okay, so I'm going to allow him to spend some cards. It's essentially like we blocked there because we gained card advantage. Our single dodge, which is quite valuable. Onimaru only has 12 dodges, just like Grave. Nevertheless, got 2 cards out of his hand at the cost of 1 of ours. Okay, empty throw, the universal signal of I'm going to play T-Pos games against you. We have a relatively low hand size, so our throws are kind of not ideal right now. Because we probably can't afford to pump them twice. And it's very valuable to pump throws twice, if you can, as Onimaru. Want to get the maximum amount of mileage out of your throws. Okay, successfully diffuse the True Power of Storm situation. Again, he's being very respectful of my blue bursts in the past. So I'm going to experiment with bluffing a lot. See how that works out for us. I don't have kind of important tools at my disposal right now. Single ace would be quite handy to have. Queen would be quite handy to have. Just sitting back, trying to block our way up into a more developed hand. And we're getting a lot of our throws, which is good. But we're not getting a lot of the cards that we would need to do anything else with our lives. Dodging the jack is very nice. Okay, he bluffed once, so we're going to assume he doesn't have it. Cash out for 20. Again, hand still very low, but we've got a lot of damage in it. Draw the second joker, so he knows we have one. We can now successfully bluff with the first one. We can play the first one, and then we have the second one to be able to successfully bluff in the future, so long as he doesn't immediately peek at our hand as soon as we play the first one to double check. Just going to sit back and block. Again, we have a life lead. We just need cards to be able to finish off this game. We need queens, we need aces, we need face cards of any kind. Jacks would be ideal. Those are the ones that we're going to need for reach, because he is 2 combos away from being dead. 2 successful combos away from being dead. The unfortunate thing about the nice thing about Onimaru is he deals damage in very relatively card efficient, big meaty chunks. The bad thing is he deals damage in very predictable meaty chunks. So if your opponent is at, if your opponent is at 39 or if they're at 21, they're essentially exactly as hard to kill. Okay, and Three-Headed Monkey just playing super anti-throw, anti-big duffs. We're now at a hand size where it's going to become more likely that we have the ability to use Final Authority against him. So we should be seeing an increase in the amount of dodging that he is going to be doing. But I think the early games in this set may have conditioned him to expect much more throws from me. And unfortunately, I'm stuck on a hand where I basically just have a bunch of throws. So good job me. Unfortunately, we've conditioned him to exactly beat the hand that we happen to have in this scenario. So again, 2 jokers. We can play a very safe block to prevent True Power of Storms game here. With this particular setup, there's almost no chance that if I get crossed up that I'm not going to play a joker. The risk of him calling the bluff, even though he knows that I have at least 1 joker in hand, is just too great. It's like, oh, okay, well, you're just going to bluff forever, so I'll just play it, and I've got 12 cards, so I'm just going to power up for True Power of Storms again, losing nothing. So we don't want to have that happen. And again, if we don't successfully blue burst True Power of Storms, it's not that bad for us because we have the second unknown joker. Okay, we get tossed again. No bluff here. This time goes in for damage, putting us to 41. So raw True Power of Storms, that much scarier. Single ace just a little bit late. Would have much preferred to have single ace online before raw True Power of Storms was a more tempting combat option. And he has indicated that he is willing to occasionally play that. That's another important thing. He did play it raw in one of our previous games, in the Midori game, so I can't just completely write it off and just play the single ace. Okay, more block. 11 card hand versus 10. I'm really looking for a partner for that that single jack in my hand. Again, he's at 37 hit points. That is within the 40 damage threshold. I need big chunks of damage. I can't, final authority with a single jack, put him to 27, because it's essentially still like I haven't won one of the 2 combats I need to win the game. Okay, we get thrown again. At this point, the aim of the game is just to prevent him from finally, we need to find a way to disarm True Power Storms. Yeah, do you though? You don't. You are not legally required. My lawyers inform me that you are not legally required to love True Power Storms. So we have potentially Wake Up Martial Law. But again, we just lose to raw True Power of Storms. So we can continue to play safe, or we can spend this jack for relatively little reason. Okay, we're going to go in with the jack. This does potentially flush a Joker. It's one of the few combat reveals you almost always combo into, even if you know the Joker's real, because who cares? You only get 2 of these, right? If you spend the 2 jacks, you can only ever deal 20 with the other jack if you draw all 4 during the game. So it's dicey. It's dicey is what I'm trying to say. So again, we need to win 2 combats, just like we did a second ago. That is definitely good. Martial law, there's really no reason not to spend the 2 aces rather than, an 8 and something else. Has the other Joker, prevents the damage. Yeah. Witnesses state that he did still appear to be mad, though. And there we go. Just right on time, the Martial Mastery comes out, peeks at my hand, reveals the double Joker. So the bluff has got to work twice in a row. Things just become a little bit more difficult. Okay, 3 7s, 3 8s, 3 9s in the discard. So 6 total throws remain in the game, but he has almost exactly half of his entire deck in his hand. So at this point, it's just, does the throw win combat? Well, then it was a good throw. We can't just kind of math out that he probably doesn't have it. Undercut an 8. Very happy to see that. And really just holding on to a heart so that Divide and Conquer is still potentially lethal. Both of his Jokers are now gone. We just need to win combat 1 time. I don't know how many dodges he has left. That is would be a potentially good thing to know. But luckily, we don't have to find out. We are going to... No. Yeah, there we go. We are going to make this final authority truly final and end the set. And luckily, we didn't have to spend any of our Jokers to do this. And make that happen. So very well played to Three-Headed Monkey, definitely pushing me to my limit in this set. Well done. Nearly making the combat and making the final game very, very close. A lot of things could have gone wrong right there at the end. Yeah, almost dropping the spaghetti. So hopefully you enjoyed that match. I'm going to bring you some more just as soon as I can. I'm going to start recording these more regularly. Don't you worry about that. And yeah, until next time, enjoy yourself some Yomi. Cheers.